Welcome back to another episode of Delta 2 Alphas Talk. This time I want to talk to you about a tragedy that happened. A young man that lost his life being a hero and a good Samaritan, stopping an active shooter. His name was Johnny Hurley. What happened was an active shooter went out and into the community, grabbed his rifle from the truck, started shooting at law enforcement, actually hit the law enforcement officer a couple of times, then go back to his truck. Johnny Hurley was in a local shop. He comes out, grabs his gun, and dropped the shooter. And tragically, when the police got up on the scene, his actions might have carried it to it, but I don't blame him. I don't blame the police officers. But he accidentally picked up the firearm that the active shooter was shooting with. And when the law enforcement came up on the scene, they dropped him. They don't ask any questions anymore. So we got to re-evaluate how we doing our training.
Yep. We got to pay attention to those things, and we got to, instructors have to put that into your training regimen so that students start to understand. Once the situation's over, you have to holster that firearm. Don't reach the other firearms. Don't pick up anything, because now that's a crime scene. So that's one part, aspect of it. The other part is people coming in, not only law enforcement, but other good Samaritans will see what's going on. They see the end results. You standing there over somebody else holding a rifle or a pistol on that person. They don't know if you are a good guy or a bad guy. But if you holster your firearm, secrete yourself behind some cover, you can now be a witness as well, because that's what you are.
And if I'm not mistaken, the law enforcement tactics have changed to active shooters. They come in unannounced, and they don't actually announce themselves, no sirens, maybe the lights, and when they get out, they're coming out with their rifles and they're shooting the first person with a gun. They're just going to stop you.
They don't know. The things that happen from the dispatch to on scene takes time. Not only does it take time, but it's very fast. So when you're actually under the gun, it seems like forever. But when it's actually happened, maybe 2-3 minutes have transpired. So when the officers get there, they don't know that a good Samaritan or somebody, a good guy with a gun, so to speak, has interceded and settled the situation. What they get there for, they're still thinking that there's somebody actively shooting. There's no way for the citizen to communicate to the police that the man's down. So by the time you make the phone call to say, hey, I just fired, it's over. It's not going to happen.
So how we have to put in our training plan for active shooters now. If you're not in the vicinity of 15 yards, direct contact with the shooter, do not engage unless your family or your life is directly involved. And if you do engage, reholster, leave the area and get behind some kind of cover or concealment, something where you're not a target of the law enforcement coming up on board.
They're coming in hot.
Yeah.
Coming in hot. It's a very volatile situation. People already died. You're now coming to help. Don't make a mess. Don't make it worse than it already is.
Because somebody walking up on that scene and you saying, well, I need to secure the scene and I'm checking for more targets. You're not a law enforcement officer.
Nope.
You just been a good Samaritan and stop that target. That's your job. You're done. At that point, you need to figure out your safety. Because now it's in danger because somebody walking up on the scene just saw you drop that person, don't really know what's going on, getting on the phone, 911, now I just been described as the next shooter. So when the cops get there and I'm standing in the area where the shooter's supposed to be, guess who's getting shot?
Right.
Me.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, or whatever, you're gonna go down. Okay? So try to secure yourselves and think about what I need to do. I engage the target, I reholster, I go concealed the way I came out there, then get on the phone with 911 and tell the operator, I dropped the shooter, I am such and such place, I will secure my firearm and I will come and surrender myself.
Right.
That's all you have to do. Real simple.
Very simple. And it's something that you have to practice. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen when you want it, unless you practice. If you practice on the firing line and you're training, and in your brain you have that, and you say, okay, it's over, I need to holster my firearm, I'm going to cover it back up with whatever garment that you had that was covered in the first place. Now you can approach anyone at this point. Good guys, other people with guns, they don't know you have a gun. That's what the whole purpose of concealed carry. Exactly, and they definitely won't see you as a threat.
Right. So
But if you're standing over somebody and you got the gun pointing and you're trying to explain what you just did, nobody's listening to that.
Right.
Nobody's gonna listen to that. Until that scene is secured by a police officer. The law enforcement officer tells everybody else, stand down, everything's cool. Then we're back to normal. But until that happens, you can't do it.
And like I said, once it's over, you have to immediately get on the phone and get with the 911 operator so they can be a liaison communication between you and the police officer, so there's not much miscommunication going on, but it will happen.
It is.
But you need to assure them and let them know, hey, this is going on in the area, because some of the police officers who's coming up on the scene will hear it and will radio it up to the other police officers if they can.
Good. And whoever gets on the scene first is going to communicate to the other officers coming in what the status of that situation is at that time.
Right. So it's a lot to think about. Don't get tunnel vision. If you can't handle it,
Don't get involved at all.
don't get involved.
In
Right.
this case, this gentleman did exactly what he's supposed to do, except for the end.
Right.
And we're not Monday morning quarterbacking him. We're trying to learn from the situation so that everybody else can learn and become better.
We're not saying he did a mistake. We're
No.
not saying that law enforcement did a mistake. It was just one of those circumstances that just happened, and it happened badly.
It's a terrible situation all around.
So we want to thank each and every supporter we have on YouTube and Rumble, and the guys that comment and all this other good stuff. We really do appreciate your support. And catch us on the Rumble, catch us on YouTube, and we'll see you on the range.
See you on the range, guys.
All right.